Hi, good afternoon. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this seminar. Right. We're so glad that we have Dr. Rao to present the mental health assessment and embracing empathy during COVID-19. And I'd like to introduce Dr. Rao. She's an adjunct professor with the psychology department at NYU, and she's also licensed to practice in the state of New York. And due to the pandemic, she's also able to practice at a different state, so to assist the pandemic situation, right? And so we are so glad to have her to present this topic. And I know that during the pandemic, we have lots of anxiety, we have lots of questions. I think that this is a good topic to help us to go through the situation. So let's welcome Dr. Rao. All right, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Catherine. So please use the Zoom functions that you can turn on the video to participate in group discussions if you feel comfortable, and then mute your audio when you're not talking. You can also type the questions and feedback in the chat box, and we will come back to these questions when the time comes. So first, I want all of us to find your comfortable place, whether you're sitting in a chair, on a sofa, and just make yourself feel comfortable and take a deep breath.
Welcome to the 1-minute grounding meditation. Let's begin by taking a seat with the feet on the ground. Take a moment to get comfortable and really settle in. And when you're ready, gently close the eyes. Feel the energy under your feet really root down into the earth and feel the support that it's giving back to you. Lengthen through the spine, through to the crown of the head. Soften the shoulders, relax the jaw. Take a deep breath in and feel your body move as you inhale. Allow the breath out to be long and notice the body as you exhale. Follow the breath in and out. If thoughts come, just notice them, let them be there, and let them pass. No judgment. Just observing and bringing the focus back to the breath in the body. Focus on the belly as it expands and softens with each inhale and exhale. Just be aware of the breath in the body. You can continue your awareness of the breath in the body, or you can slowly begin to open the eyes.
Thank you for sharing your meditation moment with me. Now, I have an exercise for all of us to do before we begin the presentation today. And this, simple, psychological wellness test is it's going to be in Chinese.
它是3大幸福感的来源，所以呢，我用这3个 E 跟 M 跟 I 也就是我们的人际关系、情绪管理跟自我价值感，我们用3个问题呢，你的心理健康检测就没问题，而且它的分数呢，可能要超过一个 range， 也就是我都每一题用0到10分，所以如果看见的话，就会看到我们有3个面向可以简单测3个问题。换句话说，如果我要超前部署我自己的心 健康，比较不会落入忧郁的族群的话，我可以做这3件事情来强壮自己的心。那这3个问题呢，都是用0到10分，因为幸福是主观的感觉，心理也是主观的，所以我只要主观的评估每一题超过7分，换句话说，总分3题加起来超过21分呢，我们就会发现，我如果拿忧郁量表给你测，你绝对不会忧郁。低于题项1分，3个加起来低于21分呢，我是可以预测，我拿一个忧郁筛检量表来给你测，你是会忧郁的。所以我蛮推用这3个正向的题项来检查自己的心理健康，因为我们的政府到现在水平健检，但他没有给我们心理健康检查。好，所以可以用这3个度来检查一下，我有没有足够的心里面的强壮的阻挡力，遇到任何的挫败、挫折、不如意，我都可以来做。好，所以大家可以跟着我来做。那这3分呢，这3题呢，你自己几分呢？你说了算，因为呢，同样全台湾，你觉得谁最幸福？你自己感觉到幸福从哪里来？你自己觉得就好。但是这3个是我们根据研究跟调查大多数人，它是最有效的。
OK，
所以心理健康可以看有一个3题的小测验，跟着我一起来做哦。
OK，
好，第1题，你最少能一个好朋友、亲朋好友可以支持你、陪伴你，让你觉得心里面很有亲密感、温暖感跟有爱的感觉，0到10分。有没有？你可以给自己打一个分数，譬如说局分，你会给自己几分？你的满意度
哦，8分。
OK， 8分 ，bingo 的超过7分。但有人不好意思，其实有2分，他就讲8分。
哦，真的哦？
但你自己，因为他怕人家听到啊。如果你真的朋友都很少，万一你需要帮忙的时候，还真的半夜叫不到人呢。所以你至少有，在你需要的时候，一定可以听你，即使是打电话。好，所以7分以上，我们发现这不错，所以你就会有人际支持感。好，那第2件事情是什么呢？好，所以我们要在这个里头呢，第2件事情我们就可以来看看正念。好，那正念是这一题呢，其实是不是正向思考，而是你知道你正在当下这一念头里面是忧郁的还是快乐的，所以我可以有保持我正在当下这一念的时候，除了痛苦之外，我可以知道如何把它调成正念，正在当下这一快乐。对，我能够察觉分辨，才能选心情变好。我连我心情不好，我知道我如何去把它变好呢？好，第2件就是你有没有方法，当你察觉到心情不好的时候，你最少有1个以上的方法可以让自己心情变好。0到10分的比例，你觉得你有多少比例是可以让自己心情变好的？举分。
8分，
也是8分。叮当，很好，那表示你有80%的把握是有办法搞定自己的情绪。如果没办法，那当然就要赶快再去多学一点这种情绪管理的策略跟方法。那第3题呢，我们也来看一下 identity 自我价值。你有没有什么事情，或者是你觉得做了哪些部分的事情，是让你觉得你这个人是很重要的，你是很有价值的？
有啊，这可多了呢。
可多，对不对？所以你的价值感跟生命意义感应该挺高的，0到10分，价值感、意义感
10分
，10分，叮咚。不过我发现这一题是通常我调查了700-800位的我们的台湾人呢，这一题是最低的，常常低于6分以上。没错。所以你反而是逆向操作的，所以3题加起来的话，局分3题加起来8加8加10就已经有28分，所以你的心理 BMI 已经超过了21分，恭喜你！你如果测忧郁量表，你就没有忧郁症候，所以我猜你笑容这么满面，你很难忧郁的。
因为每一个当下都是创造未来啊。
有未来感的人很难有忧郁的。
真的哦。
有知识的，而且有想死的人，直到他有眷恋，他有挂念，即使是他养的一条狗或他养的一棵植物，没有他就会死掉，有这个连结，他也会活下来的。那我可以改变我这种想死的意念，更重要啊。这些都是方式，所以难怪分数这么高。 所以相对的，如果我们这些顶大的学生只知道功课好，他不知道如何搞定自己的情绪，他又觉得他念错科系，活得很没意思，在班上又交不到任何同学，这还真的叫做越想越不准。所以这3件事情的累积，就跟现在预防 COVID-19 一样，勤洗手、戴口罩、保持社交距离。那心理上面不要感冒，不要忧郁，就做这3件事情。交好朋友，管好自己的心情，要有方法管好自己的心情，更要按赞自己，告诉自己很重要。还有很多事情可以创造，生命是很有意义的。
Okay. So I hope that you all, were able to find this assessment helpful to begin our journey today. So I'm not too sure if you noticed it, but most of my the people that I know in New York right now, since the pandemic, my friends and my patients, my colleagues, they have been talking about either adopting a dog. So the dog shelters, the animal shelters, they actually ran out, of animals to adopt during this time. So people are on the wait list, as you know, having plants, to care for, and having pets, at home are very, have been very useful and helpful during this difficult time. Now, what you can do when life is overwhelming? Well, there are 3 ways to find stability in the midst of chaos, right? So recognize your feelings, find a source of consistency, and find something that you can rely on. The 3 best ways right now to find stability. So I also find these words of wisdom for life from Master Cheng Yen being, really helpful, for me to think about what stress is about and how do we handle it.
在目前的社会啊，我们常常会听到也看到啊，忧郁症。现在这个忧郁症啊，在社会呢，也是一大疾病的问题。但是，这忧郁症其实不是什么疾病，那只是一个观念呐。他们的这个分析都说，压力大，心灵压力大，这没有形的，没有形状，也没有重量的，摸又摸不到啊，看又看不着，又摸不到又看不着，把它列入一大病因。实在是有一点很令人迷失，不知道到底这种的病呢从哪里来？唯有以宗教或是心理去分析。其实心灵的压力，假如有宗教观的话，他就会容易了解这个就是人生的宗旨，他会对自己的人生的方向会很清楚，不会迷失了自己，不会茫然啦，不知人生方向。所以人生的宗旨，教呢就是生活教育。我们假如有一个生活的规范嘛，守好自己的本分嘛，尽自己的一份力量，那应该就够了，不需要呢把人事物拿来了，在无形的压迫了自己。其实这种压力都不是别人给的，都是自己呢来压迫自己。 所以我们人生啊，假如在生活上呢，单纯一点，不要太复杂，也不要想得太多，只要有一个观念一转呢，那天地就宽阔了，生活的境界这亮丽多了。
So stress generally refers to two things, right? The psychological perception of pressure and the body's response to it. That involves like multiple systems, from metabolism to muscles to memory. So we know that some stress is necessary, right, for all living systems, because we need them to encounter and respond to challenges and uncertainties of existence. However, the perception of danger sets off what we call automated response system, fight or flight response, that activated through hormonal signals, preparing the animal to meet a threat or to flee from it. A stressful event, whether it is sudden appearance of the snake on the path or the fear of losing your job when the boss yells, triggers a cascade of hormones, including adrenaline and cortisol, that surge through the body. And these hormones increase the heartbeat, circulation of blood to support quick action, mobilize fat and sugar for immediate energy, focus attention to track the danger, prepare muscles for movement, and more. But this life-saving response was meant to solve short-term, life-threatening problems, not extended difficulties, such as daily traffic jams or marital problems. A few of the many challenges that can actually hijack the stress response today. Well, you may ask, why am I always stressed and anxious? Well, I think it's the society's obsession with productivity. People usually say, I'm not being productive, therefore they may feel down. And it's also the steady stream of digital information that we consume, right? And then, the increasing, sedentary lifestyle. We sit more now, we move less, and the feelings of overwhelm may contribute to the stress that so many are feeling nowadays. What leads to chronic stress? Well, chronic stress can often be really difficult to spot. It can emerge in the absence of a severe or acute incident. Some of the different factors, such as disrupted sleep schedule, feeling perpetually undervalued at work, and not having close relationships with friends and family members, can all independently contribute to chronic stress. So since it's so difficult to spot, maybe we can find the signs, of the stress. Insomnia, stomach aches, headaches, muscle tension, racing heartbeats, and trouble concentrating, among others. You may heard about, burned out. It's a concept distinct from stress, including the three key markers: emotional exhaustion, cynicism, depersonalization, and reduced personal advocacy. In psychiatry, depersonalization is a state in which one's thoughts and feelings seem unreal or not to belong to oneself, or in which one loses all sense of identity. The persistent feeling of observing oneself from outside one's body, or having a sense that one's surroundings aren't real. So sometimes you may hear people talk about experiencing body dysmorphia, that they seem like they're leaving their body and then observing the person's doing. What would be the common causes here? Well, depersonalization can be normal and is only an indicator of underlying disease when feelings become excessive, all-consuming, and interfere with daily living. And I think if you have doubt about this experience, you should talk to a local medical authority for advice. then how do I manage stress, right? Like these are the typical classical way to do that. Plan and organize your time, reflect on your values and strengths, and practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing. Additionally, reframe negative thoughts about a situation to neutral or positive thoughts so that you can see the full picture. Now, this research, has been very, helpful in the past. More recent researchers, have been finding, 10 new strategies for stress management. Using reframing, improve your planning, learn relaxation, affirm your values, use one of your signature strengths. Manage strength imbalance, and here are the new ones. Develop a forgiving style, practice mindfulness, unleash your gratitude, and use positive self-affirmation, or just write something you enjoy. What are the healthy ways to cope with stress? Well, there are both healthy and unhealthy responses to stress. Unhealthy responses can include turning to alcohol, drugs, or gambling. Healthy coping strategies include meditation, exercise, journaling, practice gratitude, and trying to let go of what is beyond our control.
Want to zap the stress and introduce a little more Zen into your life? Follow these 7 steps for a more peaceful path. 1. Eat a healthy diet. Forget the ice cream binge and load up on fresh fruits and veggies and lean proteins. Your body will thank you with a happier outlook. 2. Get enough sleep. You'll be better able to handle stress that comes your way. Didn't catch enough Z's last night? Grab a nap for a mood boost. 3. Get moving. Take a stroll around the block, walk the dog, or bike to the grocery store. Find an exercise buddy. It's always more fun to exercise with a friend. Exercise releases feel-good chemicals that will lift your spirits. 4. Try some tunes. Soothing music can lower blood pressure, heart rate, and anxiety. Upbeat tunes can help you blow off steam. 5. Come up with a stress relief toolkit. Meditate, take a long walk, watch a comedy, curl up with a good book, or light some candles. Find what soothes you. 6. Enjoy nature. Work in your garden, walk in the woods, or relax in the park. A change of scenery can brighten your mood. 7. Get social. Have lunch with a coworker, phone a friend, volunteer, take a class. Being around other people will give you a fresh perspective and help you find your happy place. It's all about what works for you. So start letting go of the stress in your life and move to your place of peace.
A recent article in New York Times saying that over 3 million people took the new version of the Yale Happiness class available on Coursera now, with a new title, The Science of Well-Being. Here's what some of them learned. It may seem simple, but it bears repeating: sleep, gratitude, and helping other people. Everyone knows what they need to do to protect their physical health. Wash your hands and social distance and wear a mask. The Yale professor of psychology, Laurie Santos, added, people were struggling with what to do to protect their mental health. Well, how do I manage my work stress? Instead of fixating on an overwhelming worry or responsibility, be specific about the tasks that need to be completed, and then break each one down into small, manageable parts, and then focus on one at a time rather than trying to multitask. And then give up maximization to experience satisfaction. Put things in perspective and find someone to talk to.
Hello, my name is Dr. Achal Bhagat. I'm a senior consultant psychiatrist and psychotherapist at Apollo Hospitals, Delhi. Let's talk about 2 certain special situations where stress is evident and rampant nowadays. One is stress within the corporate organizational structure. Stress is not a demon around the corner. It is in our everyday thoughts and feelings, and stress precipitates illnesses like depression. In fact, in a recent study that I did, we found that about 30% of managers are living with stress and do not know what to do with it. Tokenistic things like doing a workshop or having one yoga class a week does not help you to cope with stress. To be able to deal with stress, you need to understand the origins of your stress. What are the changes in your thoughts that are causing you stress? What are the errors of your thinking that are causing you stress? And how do you learn to identify them and change them, challenge them? Sometimes flexible leave and breaking the monotony of the work itself can decrease stress. So I would encourage the HR managers to look at their policy and have a mental health policy within the organizations to decrease the cost of mental health problems on your everyday work. The second circumstance that I want you to think about is young people living with stress. Our society has a very narrow definition of success. Examinations, relationships, the way we look, dieting, comparison between peers, substance use, all are rising. And this is a nourishing ground for an illness like depression. If you're a young person and if you are going through a tough time, it is important to share with your friends. It is important to share with your parents. It is important to share with your school counselor or teacher. All of these people know how to respond to your depression. And even if they don't, at least you would have expressed what you're going through, and at least one of them would be able to help you think through and put in perspective what your experiences are. Remember, young people are the human capital of our country. But a human capital without a mental capital is not going to provide too much of growth in our country that we're looking for.
Well, specifically, how do I cope with stress about coronavirus? For many of us, the past 12 months have been lived in a state of suspended animation with dreams and plans. So recognize the symptoms of stress such as difficulty concentrating, irritability or sadness, and sleep problems to know when and how to respond. Control what you can and try to release the concerns that you cannot control. Additionally, limit news consumption, reach out to the loved ones, and practice self-care. How stress affects your health? Well, prolonged or repeated arousal of stress response can have harmful physical and psychological consequences. Those repercussions include ailments from heart disease and diabetes to anxiety and depression. Next, we will explore how stress affects your health, immune system, and the brain. Stress can lead to changes in many parts of the body. Stress can lead to a faster heartbeat, muscle tension, and gastrointestinal issues. It can also lead to heavier and faster breathing, which can strain the lungs, blunt the immune system's ability to respond to threats. Ongoing stress assaults the immune system, making us more vulnerable to disease. Although stress hormones ready the body for emergency, they can also depress the immune system by decreasing the inflammation and decreasing white blood cell production. Stress may therefore contribute to illnesses such as heart disease, cancer, and others. Stress hormones such as cortisol are naturally produced every day so that people can take on challenges ahead. But marinating in high levels of stress hormones over time can prompt the brain to function differently, leading to memory impairment, cognitive problems, anxiety, or depression.
Are you sleeping restlessly, feeling irritable or moody, forgetting little things, and feeling overwhelmed and isolated? Don't worry, we've all been there. You're probably just stressed out. Stress isn't always a bad thing. It can be handy for a burst of extra energy and focus, like when you're playing a competitive sport or have to speak in public. But when it's continuous, the kind most of us face day in and day out, it actually begins to change your brain. Chronic stress, like being overworked or having arguments at home, can affect brain size, its structure, and how it functions, right down to the level of your genes. Stress begins with something called the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, a series of interactions between endocrine glands in the brain and on the kidney, which controls your body's reaction to stress. When your brain detects a stressful situation, your HPA axis is instantly activated and releases a hormone called cortisol, which primes your body for instant action. But high levels of cortisol over long periods of time wreak havoc on your brain. For example, chronic stress increases the activity level and number of neural connections in the amygdala, your brain's fear center. And as levels of cortisol rise, electric signals in your hippocampus, the part of the brain associated with learning, memories, and stress control, deteriorate. The hippocampus also inhibits the activity of the HPA axis, so when it weakens, so does your ability to control your stress. That's not all, though. Cortisol can literally cause your brain to shrink in size. Too much of it results in the loss of synaptic connections between neurons and the shrinking of your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that regulates behaviors like concentration, decision-making, judgment, and social interaction. It also leads to fewer new brain cells being made in the hippocampus. This means chronic stress might make it harder for you to learn and remember things, and also set the stage for more serious mental problems like depression and eventually Alzheimer's disease. The effects of stress may filter right down to your brain's DNA. An experiment showed that the amount of nurturing a mother rat provides its newborn baby plays a part in determining how that baby responds to stress later in life. The pups of nurturing moms turned out less sensitive to stress because their brains developed more cortisol receptors, which stick to cortisol and dampen the stress response. The pups of negligent moms had the opposite outcome, and so became more sensitive to stress throughout life. These are considered epigenetic changes, meaning that they affect which genes are expressed without directly changing the genetic code. And these changes can be reversed if the moms are swapped. But there's a surprising result. The epigenetic changes caused by one single mother rat were passed down to many generations of rats after her. In other words, the results of these actions were inheritable. It's not all bad news, though. There are many ways to reverse what cortisol does to your stressed brain. The most powerful weapons are exercise and meditation, which involves breathing deeply and being aware and focused on your surroundings. Both of these activities decrease your stress and increase the size of the hippocampus, thereby improving your memory. So don't feel defeated by the pressures of daily life. Get in control of your stress before it takes control of you.
Well, here are some tests on health that you can find on psychologytoday.com, and some of them are free. So let me bring you to that site and look how. So on the site, you will see health tests. And when you see, some of them are free for you to, when you have time, you can take tests on like vitamin, menopause, diet, weight loss, nutrient, blood pressure, fitness. And more so, if you think that you need some help or you're thinking about seeking the help of a therapist, you can also get on there, and it's 15 to 20 minutes. You can fill out the following questionnaire truthfully and paying particular attention to the specific time period of which the questions refer. And the results will only be helpful if you answer in an honest and complete manner. So you can take time to do that if you think you may want a second opinion. Now, I have resources for your reference. One of them is EAP, Employee Assistance Program, meaning that if you have an insurance and you can call them and ask, for the EAP program, usually you will get any number from like 3 sessions to 10 sessions for free, and it will be covered, by your insurance company. There are other sites like New Jersey Mental Health Cares and National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have hotlines, and the website can be like really informative. And you can actually look into the community and, you know, ways to help with you or your friends or your family members. ACAP and BGSP are the institutes in New Jersey, and they offer low-fee consultation and therapy sessions. In New York area, if you work in New York, there's also one, you know, free services right now and ongoing. You can put in a request if you think, you know, a consultation might be benefit to you. Now, since we are talking about reopening and the COVID-19 back to school, we have a lot of questions and fears, and I find this article, you know, relatively helpful. This article was written by Dr. Daniel, and he works with children, parents, individuals, couples, and families. So he had these like, you know, different questions for different age groups. Such as like for the kids, you know, what are they worrying about? You know, will going to school get me sick? Will school open? So they have a lot of worries. And for parents, of course, parents, you know, need to, you know, coordinate and their schedules and work schedule. And so they may be, you know, really, you know, bombarded with the irregular school days, right? The hybrid schedule. So he broke these questions down. And also, you know, for pre-K, kindergarten to second grade, middle school, high school, and college, for parents, I think it is normal to feel anxious, guilty, and conflicted when information about COVID-19 keeps evolving. And you have to make potentially, you know, life-threatening decisions about your kids. And it's also normal to be angry when you're trying to protect your kids, but they blame you for ruining their lives, right? So expect meltdowns and fights. So try not to be, you know, or taking it personally. Keep in mind that COVID-19 has created new challenges and problems for all age groups, including parents and couples. Getting the support you need to help, you know, with overwhelming feelings is more important than ever. It will help you parent better and also help your kids. So you can watch this video with your kids at home and learn about the questions.
This is Sarah. She is excited to be in school. She enjoys meeting and playing with her friends, especially with Abby and Adam. Sarah knows that things are different now due to COVID. She wants to keep herself, her family, and her friends safe. Let's see what Sarah can do to defeat COVID. Before leaving home, Sarah needs to be prepared. She should put on a mask and keep an extra mask with her in case one gets wet or dirty. She can also carry hand sanitizer with her for personal use. Also, because COVID is so contagious, Sarah should keep her own books, paper, pencils, pens, and snacks and avoid sharing. When around others, Sarah should keep her nose and mouth covered with a mask or a cloth. COVID is very contagious. It spreads by tiny droplets that come from infected people when they talk, laugh, cough, or sneeze. These invisible droplets can go as far as 6 feet. People with COVID may not have any symptoms for 2 weeks or any symptoms at all, and they can still spread the virus to others. That's why Sarah cannot tell who may be spreading the virus around her. If everyone keeps a mask on, then everyone is safe. Masks also protect Sarah from inhaling the virus and touching her face with her hands. When meeting her friends, Sarah should avoid handshakes or hugs. They should keep a safe distance of 6 feet as much as possible. This is equal to 2 baseball bats. This is especially important if someone is not wearing a mask. By doing this, they can safely talk, laugh, and play. Inside the class, all students should sit apart. Follow the school rules for keeping a safe distance, keeping your mask on, and avoid sharing items as much as possible. Avoid crowding in one place and wait for your turn. Sarah should wash her hands frequently with soap for 20 seconds or use hand sanitizer that has at least 60% alcohol in it. Soap and alcohol kill coronavirus. Sarah should wash her hands, especially after playing with friends, before and after eating, after using items that other people have touched, after using the bathroom, and when returning home. When reaching home, Sarah should take off her shoes outside or at the entrance. She should wash her hands up to her elbows with soap and water, wash her face, and change her clothes right away. It's okay to wash these clothes with the rest of her laundry. If any child is feeling ill, has fever, cough, or stuffy nose, or has any new symptoms, they should not go to school. Parents should inform the school and keep sick children at home.
By taking these steps, Sarah can keep herself, her family, and friends safe. So can you. We all have a role in keeping each other safe and fighting COVID. Keep a safe distance and wear a mask, and still enjoy your time with friends at school. Inspire others with your actions, because good friends care for each other.
Staying 6 feet apart is important to avoid COVID. But how far is 6 feet? It's the size of a bed, width of a car, 2 cricket bats, an elephant's trunk, jump of a frog, or 8 soccer balls. Can you think of other things that are 6 feet long? Stay healthy and help others stay healthy.
So now let's take a deep breath before we move on to the next session. It's one of my favorite activities these days. So there are 2 ways that I have been, finding helpful is to cultivate loving kindness and embracing empathy, especially during this difficult time. Well, some of you may think that, well, I'm just losing my mind because I'm also the victim of, the pandemic. So you may become less sensitive and less empathetic. So here is the 6-step guide that could help us to regain this sensitivity. Offer maximum attention. When someone approaches you for advice, many factors came into play beforehand. So use nonverbal reading. Pay attention to the speaker's emotions and then ask questions. Pose neutral and thoughtful questions and then just listen. Be non-judgmental as you listen. And then silence. Silence is essential to empathetic listening. And then you can follow up. Well, Master Cheng Yen, taught us to carry love in the heart and express it through actions to cultivate loving kindness, right? But sometimes it may be hard, easier, to be said than done. So how do we do that? Our actions are our prayers. We wish joy for other, like all beings. We want to treat all people as our dear family. The gift of loving presence, making good connections through empathetic listening skills. So the studies also show that happiness is about expressing gratitude and helping others. I recommend to all individuals, couples, family, and children engage in virtual and physical volunteer opportunities and support your local community. Now, here would be a good time for us to, talk and ask questions. You can unmute yourself to ask the questions or give me feedback, or tell me your observations these days or the challenges, or you can type it in the chat box.
Well, first, thanks, Dr. Lau, to provide us such a wonderful information and to help us release the anxiety and then find a way to get out of depression. And I assume that you probably lots of questions through your personal situation or maybe life experience through the pandemic, right? So you're welcome to raise your question now, all right? So let's just maybe talk about how to deal with them altogether, all right? Okay, so don't feel shy to share them. And basically, we're not gonna ask your name, and so just feel free to ask questions. Right? Thanks. Or you can unmute yourself, right? Well, I guess maybe I can start for myself, right? And I mean during the pandemic, I know that the company asked me to work from home, right? So I know I put in a lot of hours, and I just well, how to say that? And well, part is due to the work, project pressure, the time that I need to meet, right? And also that I couldn't see my coworker that much anymore, right? Except that maybe on the Zoom, but still I just gotta talk, not have a personal, not a much personal connection. So another time I just feel disconnected, right? So I always try to find time to exercise, but still feel that I don't have that much energy than before, because in the past I work, exercise a lot, but now just I kind of start giving myself excuse for not going out to exercise. So I know it's just my whole energy level just coming down. So I didn't know whether the Dr. Lau, you might have some suggestion for me.
Well, I think that's true, because your home has become a very different place, right? Now your home is actually, dominated by the host yourself, instead of like inviting friends and family over. So it might be hard to find a private space, as like for your personal space. But I think, it's important to maintain a routine and to do exercise, like the physical exercise, like find your favorite, fitness video, and then, routinely every day spend at least, 15-20 minutes time to exercise and break a sweat. I think breaking a sweat is a very good, indicator for your body to detox and regenerate energy. And actually also, research had been showing that if you are able to take a walk outside for at least 35 minutes every morning, that would also be really helpful for your brain to, rebalance and reset.
Okay. Well, then, I would take that, and then I would try to increase my exercise, time, and then, I know whenever I exercise, I do sweat a lot, so that's a good thing. But other than that, I do, hope that I can, increase my exercise, frequency, and just, back to the what I have done in the past. Yeah, thank you. And anyone, well, I guess that you don't need to feel obligated to ask question in English, right? You can also ask in Chinese, so don't feel that, definitely need to speak in English. In the worst case that we can still translate. And also, the Dr. Hao, she also understands the Chinese.
Yeah, that's right.
各位师兄姐，我不要介意了哈，就是说，假如你需要用中文来提问题的时候，也不用客气，好不好？好，我想这段期间大家都是因为很多限制嘛哈，所以我想大家的心理上总是会有一些疑问啊，或者说在不一定说是忧郁啦，不过至少说心里总是会有一些郁闷的情况嘛，那或许你希望有一些可以提出来做讨论，或者是希望都了解了，所以用什么方式去处理所以大家不要太介意，然后有人提出来做个讨论，其实大家都可以一起来分享，对不对？不是分享您的问题，而是在分享说如何去解决这个我想大家可能都有的一些问题。好，感恩。
So maybe you may need some time to think about your questions or feedback or comment, but I can share with you one of my favorite songs these days.
We pass on great love with gratitude, cherishing ourselves, we pass on great love with respecting our hearts. We make no distinctions in a world of love. We are all as one. Fountains of thanks, streams of respect, a boundless ocean of love. It strengthens life, so there's no sorrow. Fountains of thanks, streams of respect, open our arms, embrace the world with love. Fountains of praise, streams of respect, a boundless ocean of love. It strengthens life, so there's no sorrow. Fountains of praise, streams of respect, open our arms, embrace the world with love.
So I wonder if you have any questions, comments, or observations.
So I do have a question. Is basically how, if we don't feel any problem with ourselves, right? How to increase our sensitivity to the people surrounding, or how to, so we can offer our help.
Right.
That's the things I think, you know, I think if you already volunteer, you already put yourself into that position, we might be less susceptible to the stress. But
right.
Yeah.
Right. You mean, are you talking about yourself? Or
No,
you're talking
for surroundings or other people, maybe how to spot people with the stress and how can we help them and then offer help.
I think that's a very meaningful question, because one of our brain region, right, Broca's area, is the speech production. And when we encounter fight or flight response, like now, right, like every day we have to be cautious and like careful and keep distance from others. So we may lose a sense of sensitivity, right, to help yourself and identify other people's stress. I think, one of the things that I have been noticing myself too is that like you, I kind of like not as, sensitive, right, to other people, like my neighbors, for example, or, even, the people in the local area, in the park, especially in New York City. So I think, to regain that kind of the sensitivity, you have to make yourself feel like compassion, 感动, like things that you do could make yourself feel more compassionate about yourself, self-compassion. And so through that experience, I think you can actually extend that to other people. Because like in the last couple of weeks, I actually learned about my neighbor, and I didn't know that she just recently had a fall and she had become really lonely. But I noticed that like a lot of pigeons, coming to my balcony. So I was wondering about it. And then one day I look outside and look through her balcony. She's actually feeding the pigeons every day, like a few meals a day. So you know how pigeons come and they would make a mess, right? They eat and then they poop. So I think that's like not good, during the pandemic. So I wrote to the housing department, a few times, and they made me wait. They say, well, the management will send out a notice to ask, the neighbors not to feed the birds. But finally, I actually, took a chance and rang her bell, and talked to her about it and learn about her situation. And so we made friends, and then she then later on that day, she bought me 2 cupcakes to thank me. And in return, I brought her, Italian cookies and wrote her a card and leave my my contact information because she's living alone. So when I opened the door, and then she's standing outside holding the bag of cupcakes, I was so moved, by the gesture and the, reciprocating, gesture. So in a way, I find connection again through that experience. So I think, if you look around and try to do things that, you feel compassion for yourself, and then you may be able to, extend that to others, because, compassion is, contagious, like laughters. How to engage conversations with an introvert person who's not open to talk. Well, I think this is really challenging, right? But I think it depends on the person and the context, like the situation. I think with introvert, they prefer to spend alone time a lot, but maybe finding something to do with them that doesn't require a lot of like animation, like maybe read together, listen to music together. But I think one of the tricks that I treat couples too, right? So I would actually assign couples to what, to do is to take a walk together every day. Like take a walk together outside, in the morning or after the meal, midday. And then actually, you can actually develop, a bond, while spending time together. Introverts don't like to talk, but they like doing things. I hope I answer your question.
You do. Thank you. However, the situation is, this is one of my old friends.
Mm-hmm.
We know each other for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does happen among friends, I have to say, during pandemic, because you're angry and people are angry. Silence is also a form of anger. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of angry feelings in the silence. Mm-hmm. So how to break that? I think it takes a lot. Like for me, since I'm really busy, so if some of my friends called me and check on me, I have to wait for a couple of days before I can return their calls. It's the mind space, and it's not easy to break the silence. If you said it's a good friendship, meaning you probably know each other, right? More than
over 30 years.
So it would be easier to displace the anger onto you, because it's trusting relationship. Your friend trusts you, right? So it's very easy to, for the displacement of feelings, just like how, how children usually get angry at their parents, the easy target, right?
See, so the situation is we have a conversation the past couple of days, and it began to worry me and my husband, because we are graduate classmate. So I see the situation change. He used to enjoy cooking, even though that he's a man, but he cooks well, and then he enjoyed cooking. But we changed we noticed the behavior change during the pandemic, because couldn't go out. So his wife told us he ordered a lot junk food from online. So amazingly, nowadays he eats chocolate and potato chip as his breakfast, and obviously that he gained a lot of weight. So we try to talk to him, try to understand, try to break in the conversation, and then try to engage him to let us know what's in his mind. but I did not make that success yet. I think probably there's something behind. I really need to pay more attention. Or we a few close friends. So it's just this opportunity. I think maybe you can give us some professional advice.
Well, with friends, I don't know what you all have been, doing. Like, I would suggest, maybe plan a hiking together. Like nature is the best, place to reconcile. So maybe arrange like a hiking trip together, and it works. It usually works when you have that kind of the togetherness, or I don't know when you began to notice that. Like, when did you begin to notice that kind of change? I mean, that's important because you can go back to the origin of the upset. Maybe you have done something, or your husband done something, or your friends.
Not with us. Well, it's private. It is with his own family. Yeah. So as a close friend, we try to see how to let him talk. I think once he's willing to talk, then we can find a way.
Well, yeah, emotional eating is a sign, right? Emotional eating is a sign for anger and depression. So I see another question. The issues during pandemic is stress from COVID-19 upsetting your stomach. A lot of the time, lost your taste and appetite of food. And you do the cardiovascular technician, constantly having patients. So this is a big sign for your stress, right? Stomach aches. And so I wonder how you release your stress. Like, what is your outlet every day? If you do need to go in and treat patients, like see patients on site, that's a lot to take on right now. I think it's better to do something that you can release your stress. Find some your own personal time that you can enjoy and regenerate, reset your mind. I think by talking out loud your feelings in general would be good. If you're able to put words right into your feelings and your frustration and reclaim your rights for your safety, for your life, it's the first step. Instead of like using your body to respond to those, stress and frustration, but be able to talk about them.
Well, I guess there's also one thing I'd like to share. Is our prayer every night, right? And it's kind of give us a chance to, well, not necessarily see each other, but at least that we can hear the voice from the volunteer we familiar with, right? And also using that period of time, I feel that we connect to each other through the prayer, right? And then so it does help to go through that the pandemic situation.
I agree. Yeah, I attended the nightly prayers at 9 o'clock. And I think for me, to have that space for the bonding have been really helpful for me in the last, 12 months. Yeah.
所以我不知道各位师兄姐你们对是不是有同样的感受了哈？就是我们在晚间祈祷的时候，那其实也是给我们大家一个机会，虽然说就算没有直接看到常常见面的志工，可是至少我们也听到他们的声音啊，或者是说在结束的时候，我们会跟大家一起说拜拜啊。那你有时候那种感觉还是算不错了哈，总比没有看到的好，对了，对啊。所以我想还是鼓励大家持续参加这个晚间的祈祷啊。那另外当然 就是说，假如现在你觉得说啊你是有任何可以提出来做分享或大家做参考的一些问题，可以尽量提出来，不要客气。
I saw Su Fan's sister, she cannot unmute herself, is that right? Or is she still online?
She's still online.
另外各位师姐，其实假如说你有像刚刚 Catherine 也有分享说她跟她邻居的一些互动假如说您在生活上你有跟其他的我不知道朋友亲朋好友或者说你的邻居们有一些互动，那您对那种感觉其实也可以提出来做个分享，让大家知道说其实在这个过程在目前这个情况之下，很多生活上的一些过程其实都可能让我们了解说如何去做一些应对所以也可以让我们做一些心情上的调试就对了因为其实很多都是有关同理心你对别人的或者对自己的了解程度是怎么样的，其实对这个处理这些事情都是有很大的帮助。
I also noticed that there's a new anxiety coming in. I mean, through my practice, right? My patients.
Right.
The reopening, right? It's been the whole year that they had tried to adapt, right, to the new environment, the new changes. And now when we are beginning to, get vaccinated and returning to the community, returning to the open space and encounter the human waves, right, that you have not been encountering for the whole year. How are you going to help your family, yourself, your neighbors and your coworkers, back to the place where it's all like bounded, right? Now you have freedom, right, to work from home, work and travel, for example. But then if you are asked to return to the office, meaning you have to get back, right, at a certain time, how are you going to make that kind of adjustment, right? And that's another new level of anxiety. And it's another level of loss, the losses. So we have a tremendous losses in the past year.
Hello, somebody can hear me?
Yes.
Hi, okay, all right, okay, Dr. Karen. I have a question, is regarding someone's question. I'm speaking on her behalf. Okay, she asked if kids already, hesitate to go out and to play, and they only go out with the friend that they know. And the father say, okay, because COVID is dangerous to go out to play with the friends, so the kids stay home. So in this case, how do we can do to motivate the kid to be social, to be outgoing, something like that?
I think, like the video, talked about, as long as you keep the 6 feet and wearing a mask, and also, use sanitizer, right? And washing hands frequently, 20 seconds with soap and water, and, practice that, the precautionary measure, wearing a mask, and be mindful about the physical distance. And then they're allowed to play, I think the playgrounds are open now.
Yeah, but it's the father. It's the father don't allow them to go out. Is there any other way to do it? I think this is the father's problem.
Well, if that's the parenting issue, then you would need to negotiate, with another parent, because it's co-parenting situation. It's not just about one side.
Yes. Okay. So the parent, the father needs to be getting involved to be understanding.
To get more education on what COVID is, what the virus does and how to keep yourself and your children safe,
I see. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the suggestion.
Well, I think you all have my contact information. If not, you can reach out to me, and with, if you want a private time and space to talk about your concerns, or you have questions, or you can call me or email me, and then we can set a time to talk about it.
Do you have an email or phone number that can reach you?
Yes. Okay, let me put it in the chat.
Thank you.
My email is kwl226@nyu.edu, and my cell number is 212-729-3810. Best time to call is after 7 and weekends, and before 9 o'clock. So between 7 and 9 on weeknights and then weekends. Thank you all, and be well and stay safe. 感恩。